Would please take their seats. I'd like to bring to the podium Representative Ron Miller, who has served the 93rd Legislative District of York County for the past 16 years, having first been elected in 1998. Currently serves as chairman of the Environmental Resources and Energy Committee, also a member of the Transportation Committee, and prior to serving in the State House, Ron was the Safety, Health, and Environmental Manager for Adhesives Research in Glen Rock. He and his wife, Kitty, reside in Jacobus. Representative Miller, the dais is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to share a few thoughts with the members of this House. From the time each of us enters this beautiful chamber as a newly elected member, we know our time of service is finite, and that someday we will no longer serve the citizens of Pennsylvania as one of 203 people afforded that honor. Someday is an interesting word, Mr. Speaker. It can be used to express great hope and great procrastination. My use of someday as an expression of great hope came as a college freshman while home on Easter break. While I was helping my grandfather repair fences at his dairy farm, we discussed who was going to be running for the 93rd State House seat. At that time, I told him, someday I will be that person serving in that position. The first serious consideration that someday had come was some 20 years later when former State Rep Peck Foster announced he was retiring from the House, and many expected that I would announce at that time that I was going to seek the seat. But I declined, saying someday would have to wait because I love my job in private industry, and quite frankly, it was much more financially beneficial than being an elected member of the State House of Representatives. I don't know how many times over the past 16 years I've heard people say that the only reason we, you and me, seek this position is for financial gain. I'm always very clear to them. I've come to know and respect all the members of this House over the years I've served, and there's nobody, I believe, that has ever run for financial gain. The second opportunity to make that someday a reality occurred when Representative Mike Wall decided to run for the State Senate. Mike asked me, he said, "Is now the time that you're going to run for the House?" And I told him that every reason I didn't run before was still valid. I love my job in private industry, and it was a lot more financially stable and good to me than what serving in the House would be. I also told the mayor of Jacobus at that time that I may not run for those reasons again. Fortunately, she said to me that I had told her a long time ago that someday I would be state representative. Fortunately, with her support, I decided to run, and with her managing the campaign, we were successful. And the use of someday as a way to delay was gone, and someday had arrived. That former mayor is here today, my wife Kitty. Would you please stand? Next to her is my second strongest supporter, as most of you have said in the past and continue to acknowledge. My mother, my second strongest supporter, is with me also. With that, Mr. Speaker, I also need to thank the residents of the 93rd Legislative District for this amazing opportunity. My staff, my district office staff, is also here today. Missy Warner has been with me for 16 years. Almost from day one. Tom Metz showed up as a volunteer, intern, whatever, at the district office one day, and I haven't yet to figure out how to get rid of him. He's been with the staff for a long time. Together, they have done a lot to support me and to help the residents of the 93rd District. My Harrisburg staff has also joined me today. Pam Davis is here. She was my secretary for many years and AA for the committees I've chaired. And Don Wolf-Gingrich is with me since I became a committee chairman. The executive directors of the committees I've chaired, Greg Raffensperger, Bruce Hanson, and Jonathan Lutz, are true professionals. I was on a panel last week with the other chairs of the environmental committees, the two in the Senate, and Chairman Vitale. And one of the questions posed to us was, how do you stay current on all the things you need to in the Environmental Resources and Energy Committee? Certainly, like all of you, we read a lot, we study a lot to figure out exactly what we need to know to be able to represent our constituents. But the role of the executive directors of the committees can never be or should never be understated. Their expertise in advising and helping committee chairmen, I just have to thank them for that. And it's not just the Republican executive directors. The Democratic executive directors of the committees weigh in and are quite beneficial also. Mr. Speaker, in my 16 years as a member of the House, I had many unique opportunities. Experiences such as being 1,000 feet underground in a coal mine. Representative, I thank you for that very much. That was a great time. Joining the Pennsylvania Air National Guard for an aerial refueling exercise, agriculture tours, and serving on the Chesapeake Bay Commission all added to my understanding of the many issues facing Pennsylvania. I even had the opportunity to visit our National Guard troops in Germany, Bosnia, Kosovo, and Macedonia with Congressman Platts. Legislatively, like most of us, if we are doing our jobs right, I had some wins and losses. I'll never forget serving on the conference committee to ban smoking. The legislation to come out of that was a great compromise that has served us well. Perhaps the most memorable loss for me was an amendment I offered to a landlord-tenant rights bill that ended in a tie vote, 98 to 98. It was the first time I had ever seen a tie vote in the floor of the House, and I assure you that is one of the most frustrating experiences you can ever have. Well, I lost the fourth page, Mr. Speaker. I'd also like to thank the Democratic chairs of the committees I've served as Republican chair. Chairman Stayback when he was a member of the House on Game and Fisheries, Chairman Bill Keller on Labor and Industry, and Chairman Vitale on Environmental Resources and Energy have been great to work with. Of course, some are more memorable than others. Chairman Keller and I agreed on little philosophically, but I had a great time chairing Labor and Industry with him, and we actually got some good things done. Thanks, Bill. Mr. Speaker, my someday of serving in the House came, and now, in a few short weeks, it will end. But other somedays await me. I'm often asked what my plans for the future are, and I'll tell everybody, I don't have a great plan. I'm not sure what it's going to be. But maybe I can finish all the projects at home that have been relegated to the someday I'll get to that. And I can now plan that someday trip to the Montreal International Fireworks Competition in early July without concern that budget passage delays will cause us to remain in session long into July. Whatever the future holds, I'll never forget the great friends I made in this wonderful chamber. The York County delegation is like family, and I want to thank them for all of their support over the years. Thank you for this opportunity to share a few thoughts on my service as State Representative, Mr. Speaker. God bless you all. Thank you.
I just told Ron if he starts to cry, a tough guy like him, I was going to have to step up here and punch him for that. Ron, we're going to miss you around here. Well, I'm not going to miss you that much because I won't be here either. Seriously, though, the institution will miss you, and I'll tell you why. You've been a really good legislator because you have been a stubborn advocate for those things you believe in, but you always knew when it was time to give in a little bit and get something done. And I think sometimes that's lost in the atmosphere of this place, that we have to fight hard for what we believe, but we have a responsibility to govern, and you've always had that in your mind. We used to sit near each other on the floor, so we have other things that could be talked about off the record. Matter of fact, Ron told me as he came up to the podium, he left out any comments about me. I said, that's good, because I get the second bite of this apple, so it was a wise decision. Probably be detrimental to both of us. But no, you've been a great friend, a great legislator, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors, whatever that someday may bring to you. God bless you.